But, all right, so do you want to get into the travel part of this?
Yeah, so we finally, after we took her to the shop, got that slide adjusted. That was in late spring, and we had to wrap up some affairs in Kansas, which is our home of record. And then we finally were like, all right, let's sit down. Let's find out some campsites we want to go to. Planned out several campgrounds, the time frames we were going to go. And we finally, like you had already talked about, we pulled out, had the crazy time with the neighbors on April 29th. Yep. And it felt surreal after almost a year to finally pull out and to get on the road.
Oh, I remember we were in like such a giddy mood and we were so happy.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor came out and he was like, murmur, murmur, murmur. And it put me in such a grumpy mood. And I was like, man, I don't, I want to be in a good mood.
We were so happy. We had worked so hard for this moment. And then he like put a real damper in it. But yeah, on April 29th, our first stop was Pittsburg, Kansas.
Yep. We went there to visit Rebecca's sister, her husband, her kiddos, and decided to take, what was it, like 3 days?
We were there for 2 days.
2 days? Okay.
Yeah, we went and saw one of the largest excavators.
Yep, Big Brutus.
I mean, I still can't believe how big that thing was.
I mean, the fact that you can fit like an excavator in its its scooper, yeah.
And then we also did some swimming.
Yep,
and
at the YMCA. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to visit family, and it was a good way to get our feet wet because we were finally not. We were out on the open road and we were so scared to drive that trailer and how do we park and how do we navigate campgrounds? There were so many unknowns. So
yeah.
It was, Pittsburg, Kansas was only a few hours away from us. So it was a good little drive to really get the feel of her and how to drive with that kind of setup. We weighed her pulling out and she was at about 11.5. Our camper weighs about 11.5.
Definitely under what we thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. And that's wet. She's 11.5 wet.
Yeah.
So. And then after we did Pittsburg, Kansas, we knew that our ultimate goal, the place that we had talked about the entire time we were repairing our camper, we were going to go to Michigan and visit Brian's family.
I got to visit my mom.
Yeah, so we knew that Michigan was going to be our final stop, but we didn't want to push ourselves, and we want to just enjoy this lifestyle and take it kind of slow. Yep. So we were just going to do small little legs of traveling.
Yep. Hop state to state.
Yep, hop state to state, and just enjoy the journey. So after Kansas, we drove only about 4 hours.
3.5, yeah.
And then we ended up in Sullivan, Missouri.
Yep. And when we were there, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And somebody at a pet shop, where I think we were trying to find harnesses or something crazy like that, mentioned that there was a Six Flags nearby. And we were like,
oh,
let's do that. And yeah, we made a full day out of that. We had our dogs in a, what do you call it, doggy hotel for the day.
Oh, I found someone online that could watch them for like a little doggy daycare at their house.
Doggy daycare, that's another way of saying it.
Yeah.
And then, so we had fun with that. We did a bunch of hiking. We rode our bikes a few times. And then we got to see the Jesse James cave.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I forget what those caverns were called.
We have pictures. I'll put a picture up.
Okay. But yeah, Missouri was really good. Seriously, up to this point, even now, how we find our campgrounds is I have an app on my phone that kind of is a good one for RVers. And I'll look at campgrounds and it kind of gives me a little bit of a price point. And I'll holler out one campground and then Brian will look online and see if it can fit our setup and if it's available for the time frame we need. And we literally are just throwing a dart at a map. And that's how we ended up in Sullivan, Missouri. And then we ended up in Terre Haute, Indiana was our next stop.
We were there for 2 weeks.
And...
well, on the way there, we had one big wobble on the highway.
Oh, it was so scary.
And I just remember we were driving along. I did a little bit of a turn. And then I was turning hard, and I just remember like it was really, really hard to get back in the lane, and it just kept pulling one direction. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Mm-hmm. And I finally got it stabilized and, going straight again. And I was like, okay, let's not, have that happen again, because if there was somebody else in that other lane, I would have collided. Mm-hmm. Luckily, no accidents or anything like that. But when we finally got to the campsite, we realized that a couple of these studs on the tire had sheared off. Mm-hmm. So...
And which is weird, we have a TPMS monitoring system for all 10 of our tires, and we continuously monitor our temperature and the PSI of our tires the entire time we're traveling. And at no point between Missouri and Indiana did it indicate that there was anything wrong with the tire.
Yeah. And
it wasn't until we parked that we really realized the full impact of the situation. And there was a small leak with that tire, and it ended up going flat, and it did have some type of debris in it.
Yeah.
And then the studs were sheared off. Luckily, it ended up being a really easy fix. We found an amazing RV repair shop nearby.
And we just brought our hub in, and they tapped out the old studs that were broken and put in a couple new ones and gave us a couple extras just in case it happens again.
Yeah, and then we have our tires, insured by a tire shop, so we just went in there, swapped out the bad tire, and it ended up being a really easy repair. But if we look at things kind of in a broader aspect, that would have been probably a really bad situation if we had blown out a tire, or if anything else had gone wrong. We easily could have flipped this camper.
How many campers have we seen on the side of the road, either jackknifed or busted open, or just somebody repairing tires, or oh geez.
It is a very, very scary, and we were very, very lucky. We were very, very grateful that the outcome was what it was, and that we were able to fix things. And when we were in Indiana, we were there for 2 weeks, and we just spent time. There wasn't a lot to do in Indiana. Like I said, we're kind of choosing things based upon the highway we're driving, or, just by cost, making sure we can afford the campground. Yeah. So in this campground, there wasn't a lot around the local area. So we spent time just kind of getting our bearings, making some repairs like the tires. We also worked on our bathroom a little bit. There were still some things we needed to do there.
Finish painting that and getting the toilet set up. And
then but that campground was really, really pretty. I really liked that campground.
There was a lot of trees.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about the trees is we have a satellite that we get internet with, and it has to have clear sight of the sky, of course. Well, with so many trees up above us, we had to figure out how to get Rebecca to work and make sure that everything's, copacetic. And I don't even know how to say this. Basically, we drove around trying to find something that was open that had a power source. Mm-hmm. And we eventually found this parking lot that
had a pavilion.
Had a pavilion with a plug-in. So we pulled out an extension cord, plugged into the pavilion, and ran that to the satellite that we put on top of the truck. Mm-hmm. And Rebecca was just working from there, and that was hilarious. Like, we had to move so many times because people were like trying to use the pavilion and whatnot. But
I'm lucky to be able to work from home. Starlink has been great for our setup. We haven't really had any issues. But because of my work and what I do, I am on very secure servers, and I need consistent internet, and I can't have it keep trying to reconnect to the satellites.
Yeah.
But the looks we got with our little satellite on top of our truck as we're hooked up to the pavilion trying to get internet. It was comical.
It's definitely fixed our point of view on campsites and which ones we can go to or not, based on, we have to look at pictures and see, how crazy is the tree coverage. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that definitely is a factor now, because we made it work for those 2 weeks, but I don't really want to work from the truck again. That was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of hiking, a little bit of fishing.
Mm-hmm. They had a beautiful lake at that campground.
They had a really pretty lake, yeah.
So we didn't do a whole lot in Terre Haute, Indiana.
No, but it was still a good time. It definitely left a memory.
Yeah. And then after we were done with Indiana, we finally made our last leg to finally get to Michigan, the place we've been talking about for so long.
Yep.
Finally visit family.
Yep. And we finally got to visit my family, and we got to see my grandmother, my Omi, for 2 days before she had to leave to Germany. And we got to see just a whole lot of family, which is really nice.
It had been 5 years since we saw your side of the family.
Yeah, 5 years. It was crazy. Blah. Yeah, just thinking about it, it was definitely needed. Definitely a good needed time to visit with my brother, my mom, some aunts, some uncles. There was a funeral thing that happened, so we had to attend that, which was always sad, but it was good to see family get together for that.
Yeah, for that part of our trip, we didn't have a lot planned because we knew that the main priority and focus was to visit family, to just really reconnect. But during that time, we were able to do some time with the lakes and, even go with your cousin and your brother to some lakes and do some fishing with your brother.
Well, the one thing about Michigan is you'll never go 5 minutes without seeing a lake.
Yeah, I think they say you can't go more than 20 miles without hitting some type of body of water.
Yeah.
So we definitely hopped around at multiple different bodies of water in Michigan and just checked it out. And there's a lot of scenery and nature to explore and whatnot.
We did get to spend a couple days in Detroit. We went to a couple places where we got some really awesome burgers, and we went to this one high parking lot that I forget what it was called, the Z parking lot. And there's a lot of really unique art on each level,
like these huge murals.
Yeah, really, really awesome. If you haven't checked it out, or if you ever get a chance to check it out, I'd say check it out.
It's 10 stories high, this parking garage. So, I mean, it's not a small parking garage, and you get great views of
That's
Detroit.
what I was about to say. As soon as you get up to the top, you have to see the view, too, because it's just... I mean, Detroit's not the most beautiful city, as it probably once was, but it's definitely nice to go up there and see from up there, because there's definitely a lot of history in that town.
And then there's also so much street art that you get to see from the parking garage, too. I mean, you just look around, and there's so much street art. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Let's see. We also got to go to a Twisted concert. That was pretty awesome.
You can't go to Detroit, Michigan without seeing ICP, Twisted, or having some Fago. That's the classic Detroit package right there.
Yeah.
And some White Castles.
Yep. Let's see. We also went to Hell. Hell is a town in Michigan where it's... I mean, there is a populated area, but there's also just this small little shopping center, which is like 3 or 4 stores. One of them is a bar, or like a little saloon kind of deal. There's an ice cream shop, and there's another one, but I forget what it is. So I think the only thing that was open when we went was the saloon. And my brother and I wound up getting some spicy shots. It was like a jalapeno something. Or no, it was habanero something. I don't even know. It was spicy as heck.
Yeah. Tequila?
I don't even know if it was tequila.
I don't know. I didn't like it. It was a little too spicy.
It was spicy. We have the receipt, so I'll put another picture here for the receipt.
Yeah.
But
what was our server's name again?
Joy.
It was a joy to be served in hell.
We were served by Joy in Hell. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
The most upsetting thing for me, or like I guess the only thing that actually went wrong in Michigan, was whenever we were having a dinner with my family. We were trying to have it outside.
Oh my goodness, this was so ridiculous.
And as soon as we sat down outside, we had all the food outside. Everything was...
It was a beautiful picnic setup. We had our awning out. It was great.
Yep. It started raining. And
we're
like,
bad.
oh. And we're like, oh no. Like, we had everything set up. Everything's good to go. It's slightly sprinkling. Okay, it's getting a little bit heavier. I guess we should all just go inside and eat then. Okay. Blah. So we all go inside. And as soon as the door closes, it stops raining.
But when the storm hit, when we were eating, at first it started raining a little bit, and we're like, oh, we're under the awning, it'll be okay. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the way our awning is, it'll hold the water for a little bit, but then if there's a lot of water, it'll dump it, like one of those buckets at like a splash pad, and our awning did that, and the amount of water it was getting, and so we really did have to go inside. It wasn't like this small little, rainstorm. And
I think that was the first time I seen that do that, and I was like, it does that?
Yeah, so that was, because we were so prepared for this cute little summertime picnic with your family. They had come over and visited us in our camper, and evil rain.
Yeah, it was a good meal though. I think everything went really well.
Mm-hmm. Except for I almost tried to kill your aunt. I didn't know that.
How'd you almost try to kill her? What?
I served shrimp scampi, and come to find out she had a shellfish allergy.
Oh, yeah, I think she has a very light allergy, but yeah, I didn't know that either.
And I was like, of course, the meal I choose, and someone has a shellfish allergy.
Of course.
I was like, oh, I'm not winning any points on trying to,
keep my family alive.
Now I'm going to be dubbed like the evil in-law or daughter-in-law. Remember that time you tried to kill me?
Yeah. So, yeah, we were there for a month and a half. Got to spend quite a bit of time with family. Mm-hmm. Caught up with my brother, which was definitely well needed.
Oh, you want to talk about the proximity of all the shops near our campsite?
Oh, geez. If you're ever in the Monroe area and you find yourself on... I forget what road we were on, but there were seriously 12 pot shops within walking distance of where we were camping.
It's like really, really close to the Ohio border.
Yeah.
And so all these dispensaries, I can never say that word, dispensaries, yeah. Serve, not just the Michigan population, but also the Ohioans. And we could not believe the amount of shops. It was...
And all of them were bustling.
Yeah.
Like, all of them were busy. It was crazy.
Busy. And the funny thing is, between all of these shops, nestled right between this, like, epicenter of all these weed shops was a Taco Bell and a 7-Eleven. That is something I will forever chuckle about. It was just so... Oh, it was beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we spent a month and a half there, and then we went up to the Upper Peninsula. Mm-hmm.
It was interesting driving up to the UP. Real kind of uneventful time going up to the UP. Well, I say uneventful, but we did have our underbelly kind of try to keep falling out.
Oh yeah, this is the start of a major problem that I'm gonna have to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coroplast ripped off, and a sheet of the foam that was inside ripped out, and holy crap, that was annoying.
And it was risky because it's 8-foot sections, so it flying out from underneath our camper becomes then this hazard for other drivers on the road. And then a window popped open mid-drive.
Yeah, so I started seeing this like black flapping thing come out, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And I thought a window had fallen out. No, luckily it was just our dogs had somehow opened the window slightly, and the curtain decided that it wanted to flap out ever so slightly. And as soon as I caught that, I was like, holy crap, let's stop on the side of the road. Let's make sure everything's good. And it was okay. At least it's not another sheared frickin', stud or anything like that.
And Oof. Then, so overall, it wasn't too bad. A couple little things, popped during that leg of the journey. Then we crossed the Mackinac Bridge from the lower state of Michigan to the upper peninsula. Yeah. And that bridge is huge. It was kind of cool going across that bridge.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique bridge. It's got grading in the middle, and then it's got road on the outsides, which is kind of fun to look at. Mm-hmm. We were originally planning on staying up in the UP for about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But because our campsite was just so accommodating, so beautiful, and just, I don't know, I thought it was really nice up there, we decided, why not stay there up there for a full month?
Mm-hmm. And we finally had, for the first time in 2 months, we finally had full hookups.
Yeah.
And we quickly realized how much we love full hookups.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to do our own laundry, to be able to take a shower in our camper, not having to use our little poo tote to empty our black tank.
Oh, yeah.
So
The drag behind.
and so they were, it was really nice. We were able to get full hookups for a really good rate. And then we realized how much the UP has to offer. So much national forests up there, state campgrounds. There's no shortage of, water to explore. So many lakes and waterfalls and hiking and kayaking. I mean, the amount of outdoor activities you can do in the UP is just endless. It was hard to narrow down what we wanted to do.
Yeah, honestly, if we could stay there longer, we probably would have.
Mm-hmm.
But so
we knew that we could only stay there for the amount of time we did, and we needed to start slowly making our way back down south, because getting caught up in the UP with the winter is
dangerous.
Yeah, especially with our setup. So that was the only reason really why we left, but we were able to see a really big spring. That was, you want to talk about the big spring? That was just crazy.
Yeah, the big spring was a really big spring. There's this raft that has a hollowed out center, and you can look through that and you can see the bottom of this place, and it's just a constantly flowing water spring. And it's a cold spring, but it still releases a lot of sulfur and stuff like that. So every so often you get this faint smell of rotten eggs, and you'd be like, whew.
I think the water is 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, so we got to see all kinds of little fishies, and
the sand was all swirling with all that water flowing into the spring.
Yeah, the pretty clouds that it was forming was pretty awesome. Alrighty, so the Big Spring was a very pretty location, very out in the woods, and I loved the little plaque that they had out in front of the place where it was talking about the
forest prayer.
Yeah, the forest's prayer. That was pretty awesome. We also got to see some waterfalls. We got to see the root beer falls, because we can't say the name. No,
we can't. I think for me, the root beer falls was one of my favorite parts that we did in the UP.
Yeah.
There was a lower falls and then upper falls. The lower falls was really awesome. I didn't, with how everything is so regulated these days, I didn't think that we were going to be able to actually, go in the falls or be able to play around with. No, they had all these signs around saying, be careful, falls are dangerous, you can die. But then it allowed the public to just go in them. And so we walked out into the falls, and we're out there with our dogs. And it was just really, really pretty. And it was about a mile plus walking around the lower falls.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah, and just a lot of different falls, lots of different landscapes and stuff. And then after we were done with the lower falls, you have to get back in your car and go up about 5 miles to go see the upper falls.
Yeah.
I wasn't as big of a fan with the upper falls because it wasn't as interactive. All you can do is just view the upper falls.
Yeah, there was still that one guy that decided to go behind the fence and play in the water right next to the rippling waterfall that was like extreme. So
yeah.
we walked away before anything crazy happened to him.
Yeah. And I think the reason why I didn't like the upper falls as much is because there were so many steps to go down and view the falls. I think one was 300 steps, and then the other one was like 150 steps.
Yeah.
It was so many steps to go down into the viewing areas, but overall it was a really amazing day to walk around and see all all the falls. The dogs were loving it.
Yep.
So.
And then we got to go to the Sleeping Bear Dunes with Rebecca's cousin.
Okay, in my defense, I kept seeing all these TikTok videos of the Sleeping Bear Dunes, and everyone kept just mentioning, this really big dune, and can you go down it, and then can you get back up? And if you don't, it costs you like $3,000 to be rescued. So I was thinking, one dune, we can go do it, we can climb it, I'm going to be like, yes, we'll conquer the dune. Kind of find out when we get there, it's actually a series of 4 or 5 pretty decent sized dunes to get actually to the big dune. So by the time we made our way to the 4th or 5th big dune, we were thirsty, hot, tired, sunburned, and we're like, yep, nope, we're done.
Well,
We couldn't even make it to the big dune that we were thinking we were going to do.
Rebecca's also been having issues with her hip recently.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things of, I know I could probably make it if I push myself, but I am not going to be carrying her back up this dune. So
Yeah.
we called it a little bit early. And then we went and got some ice cream at the Moomers.
Moomer's ice cream.
Yeah.
Moomer's ice cream is a little ice cream shop that is actually located right on their dairy farm. So it is literally farm to table ice cream, and it's a highlight for me because it was from my childhood, and I really like Moomer's ice cream.
Yeah.
Then we spent some time in Traverse City, got some pizza, then we went back to the dunes, did a scenic drive, and that was a really awesome day.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many ice cream shops in Michigan.
I still can't believe how many ice cream shops. I swear every corner has an ice cream shop, and I love it.
Yeah, I grew up and I knew that there was at least a few nearby, but I didn't realize how many were throughout the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
I don't think I've seen another state with as many little mom and pop ice cream shops as Michigan does.
Yeah.
It is really delicious. And then after we did Sleeping Bear Dunes, the next day you got to do the thing you've been talking about for months that you wanted to do, the Petoskey Stones.
Oh yeah, yeah. The stone hunting or rock hounding. Petoskey stones are a very unique. I'm gonna find pictures to show you guys. Very unique stones that are basically fossils, and they are. I'm not gonna say exclusive to the Petoskey area, but they're very easily found in the Petoskey area. And we went there and we found some really awesome ones. A bunch of tiny ones. But Rebecca definitely won the day by getting the biggest rock out of the bunch. That was the most awesome looking. So
Yeah, because I've been having so many issues with my hip, I couldn't be walking on the beach very much, and the uneven surface was just really flaring my hip. So I just sat my little butt down, was digging in the sand, and the sand, as you keep going down multiple layers, it's just a lot of rocky layers. So I just kept pulling all these rocks from my little hole, and that was how I went Petoskey stone hunting, and it actually worked. I was able to find lots of Petoskey stones by just digging into a hole on the beach.
yeah, so the way that they work is a lot of them just wash up on the beach from out in the Great Lake. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, that's, most people just walk along the beach and look for little special stones. And, yeah, I had fun doing that. But then we also went Yooper hunting, which is, Yooper lights, or, they call them something else, are these stones that only glow under a specific UV light. Mm-hmm. 365V something something UV light. And you have to get a special flashlight in order to make it glow. And our first day out, we had this not 365 UV light that I use for curing resin. And we found a bunch of really nice, pretty glowing rocks as soon as we were out there. And we're like, oh man, this is awesome. And we, held them in our hands. We're looking at them. They're like, oh man, these are really, really pretty. And then we started going along, we started noticing that there's glowing crawfish, and we're like, oh, okay, cool. And then I started noticing that the rock itself was kind of sticky, and I was like, oh, what is this? I started messing with it, and I realized, oh, this isn't the rock. This is something on the rock. And then it finally clicked in my brain. It was probably seagull poop. And the funny part of this was we'd actually tried to help out somebody else who was looking for stones as well. So we had 2 rocks, and we gave them one of the rocks. And I just think back of, I gave this family
a poop-covered rock.
Poop rock, a seagull poop rock. I started calling them seagull stones after that. But we did find a little tiny Yooper on that trip, and we were able to get a couple more another day, which was awesome. Mm-hmm.
We didn't find any big ones.
There any extravagantly beautiful ones.
Yeah. Ooh, do you want to talk about your experience with the big, the bridge, the swaying bridge, the glass bottom.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Brian has a thing for heights. He's not a fan.
I've fallen out of too many trees.
And so I thought one good activity for one of the days should be to go to
on a sky bridge.
On a sky bridge, yeah. And we were going along the bridge, and he was doing pretty good the whole way, and then we quickly realized that there was a glass bottom portion.
Oh, I had no problem with the glass part. That was all her having issues there.
We're not talking about me here. We're talking about you.
She's like, nope. No, I'm not going to cross that. Okay, so I was much better with this bridge than another bridge that we'd crossed a while back, where it was a bridge that had burned
and then been repaired.
And then been repaired with the same wood. And yeah, so my issue with that bridge, like they had vehicles crossing it and everything, but there was no like major support beams or anything like that. It was just a bridge straight across, and it was one of the tallest bridges in the United States. And I white-knuckled my way across it. So she thought a sky bridge would be a great idea. Mm-hmm. And I was okay with this one. And crossed this glass panels just fine. And made it across, and yeah, I think I did better than she did on that one. But we didn't talk about Mackinac.
Oh. So what I wanted to do for my birthday this year is I wanted to go to Mackinac. I've been to Michigan multiple times over my life. I've had family there. I've visited multiple times. That's where I met Brian. So, I've been to Michigan. And every time you go to Michigan, you hear about Mackinac. And so finally, this year, I was like, I want to go to Mackinac Island. That's what I want to do for my birthday. So we finally made it to Mackinac. We quickly realized how expensive it was for each thing. The ferry cost, then there was a cost even to ferry our bikes over. There was just a lot of expenses. And so we went there and we did the full 8-mile bike ride across Mackinac.
Yep.
At one point, I think we were around mile 6. And we stopped and we decided to take a break, sit on the beach, throw some rocks in the water, just chill, put our feet in the water, really just cool off. And then once we were done, we got up and I was about to swing my leg over my bike. And Brian's like,
You tore out your pants.
I can see your butt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. I put my hand to my butt and all I could feel was butt cheek in my hand. I mean, it wasn't a small rip.
Yeah, the entire back and basically the entire crack was ripped open.
Yeah. I blew out my pants. So thankfully I had an extra little shirt. I tied it around my waist and hopped on my bike and we're like, okay, we're 2 miles away from town where I can get some new pants. It'll be fine. But every time I was biking, every minute that was passing by, I could feel and hear my pants ripping further and further. By the time we got back to the town, my pants were ripped from butt to knee, like all the way down my leg. I don't know what made my pants catastrophically fail that bad, but they did not hold up well with that bike ride at all.
Luckily, they had an affordable clothing shop there. That was like it was kind of like a Goodwill, almost in its own way. But
yeah.
She found this nice little black dress, and yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I totally changed right in the middle of all the racks of clothing. I just threw the dress on and slipped my pants off.
Yeah. Hey, can you throw this away from me? Thanks.
But
the fudge was good. I mean, we're not really big fudge people, but we got a small chunk of fudge and enjoyed it.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, to ferry to the island, to do the bike ride on the island, we got lunch, we got fudge. It was probably somewhere near a $300 to $400 a day experience, and that was us doing everything on the cheap side.
Yeah.
It was really, really expensive, and we quickly realized how much of a touristy trap it was. And so I think actually, I had been wanting to do Mackinac my whole life, and then finally to get to do it, I was kind of disappointed by it. There's a
saying, never meet your heroes.
And And
Yeah.
I was kind of sad by that. It really wasn't one of my favorite experiences we've done up to this point. I think it's become one of those, I've been there, done that. I don't think I'm going to do it again. So, but we did Mackinac, and
I'd say the only thing else worth mentioning is that we did go to Paradise.
oh
So
yeah,
we went to Hell in Michigan, in the
which
Lower
is in the
Peninsula,
Lower Peninsula. Yeah,
and then we went to Paradise up in the Upper Peninsula, which was kind of fun.
it is hilarious to think of that. How heaven is up and hell is below.
Yeah. All right. So then the next place we went, which is where we're at right now,
Mhm.
was Wisconsin,
Mhm.
land of cheese.
We got into Wisconsin on a Saturday and then kind of settled in on Sunday. And then on Monday, we drove to Milwaukee, which is about 2 hours from our current campground. And I got to see a Pink concert that I've been wanting to see for forever. And it was amazing.
Yep. A little bit earlier that day, we went to the open market, got some cheese. I got a beer.
Mm-hmm.
We got some sushi, and we just sat up there and we snacked on some cheese. It was the Wisconsin platter. And then we got to go see the Pink concert. That was a pretty good time.
Mm-hmm.
That woman puts a lot of energy into her show.
Mm-hmm. Her aerial work is really amazing to watch. Her to be able to do all that aerial work while singing is just amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then just to kind of wrap up, I mean, because we're pretty much, you're kind of caught up with us now.
Whoa! We went to the Corn and Tater Fest.
I was about to talk about the Tater Festival.
Okay.
Yesterday, we got to go to a Corn and Tater Festival here in Wisconsin and eat some yummy corn and potatoes.
Yeah, it was a small little shindig.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like a bunch of farmers and some of the locals from nearby all get together and
Little families, and
it's a
Have
way to
a-
make some extra money.
yeah. You had a couple little vendors, you had a couple little lawn games, I think they were selling chickens, and then there was like the duck game, where you pick up the duck and look at the number on the bottom.
I didn't even pay attention to any of that, honestly.
Then there was like some jams and teas you could buy. So a kind of a typical outdoor fair with a small little carnival and fair games that you would see.
Yep.
So it was a unique experience. It was definitely makes me chuckle. We went to Wisconsin, went to a corn and tater festival.
Yeah.
So, and then after that we found a swimming hole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did that yesterday too. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm. And then
Climbed a little tiny waterfall.
Mm-hmm. That water was so cold.
So cold, but it was nice after being in the hot, festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And-
tonight we're planning on going to Green Bay
Mm-hmm.
just to go to a brewery and maybe a couple other things. We'll see what happens when we get there.
Mm-hmm. I guess I think that's about it. I mean, I'm looking at our notes here and I see a couple of the funny little anecdotes we have, but I think that's about all that's worth mentioning right now.
Yeah. I mean, up next we're gonna try to make it to Minnesota for a couple weeks. Then we're
Mhm.
going to North Dakota, then South Dakota, and then back to Kansas for a little bit, right?
You skip a state. You keep trying to skip that state.
What state am I skipping?
Nebraska.
Nebraska. Okay. I didn't know that was on the way.
It's-
My geography is not the best.
You can't forget my alma mater.
Ugh. We must do alma mater.
I think one story I do want to say, it's kind of out of the timeline because we were really trying to go through chronological order here. So when we were in Lower State, Michigan, in Monroe, at our campground, we had just finished up a day trip in Detroit, and we were coming back into our campground, and a storm hit. And we didn't realize the full capacity of how bad that storm was. When we get back to our campground, one of our neighbors was like, "Oh my goodness, you guys okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're fine. It's a little rain, no big deal." Later on that evening, the rain kind of dissipated a little, and we decided to kind of take a look and see the damage or what was going on. We finally started talking to the neighbors and heard that a motor coach almost flipped over only 2 lots away from us, and then there was debris flying everywhere. It kind of actually was a pretty bad little storm that hit, and we had missed it all because we were in Detroit.
I heard there was actually like a tornado that had formed somewhere.
Mhm.
Not there, but
Yeah.
somewhere nearby.
There was definitely some funnel clouds, and And so we find out that the only damage we really damaged, quote unquote, that we sustained was we have this tire cover, and it's a little donut. It's a donut image for our donut tire. It's so cute. Brian will probably show a picture of it.
Yep.
So the story we got from the neighbor was this tire cover blew off from our tire and it rolled down the road. And where we ended up finding it was probably a quarter mile away from our camp.
About, yeah.
Yeah, and it just rolled all the way down the road and kept following the road. And when we were trying to find it, I was kind of goofy that night. I was like, here, donut, 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 here, donut, 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 you know, trying to find my little tire cover. And one of our neighbors heard me saying that. And he comes around from his camper, and I like almost, I turn as well, and I see these there, and I get really, you know, red face, and I'm kind of embarrassed that he heard me calling out for my little donut tire cover. And he's like, is everything okay, ma'am? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay, well, I have donuts if you need donuts. I have donut holes or chocolate covered donuts. And I was like, oh, it still makes me laugh thinking about how I was calling for my little donut tire cover and the neighbor offered me legitimate donuts.
Yeah.
And we finally, you know, explained the situation. That's how he filled us in on the rest of the stuff that had happened during that storm. A couple of our items blew off. We're now taking more precautions to tie things down and whenever we leave and whatnot. So
Yeah, I think the only other story I want to share is how much Rosie, our dog, has been loving the water. Mm-hmm. And we had one incident where we were swimming in Michigan, and she decided that she wanted to jump into the water and just run around and do her crazy thing. And she was so excited that she couldn't even make it out of the water, and she just started squatting and pooping in the water. And yeah, that was...
It was right next to some kids, too.
Yeah, they were like, ah!
So we had to, like, try to fish out her little poo from the water and not have it hit the kid. Oh, it was so embarrassing.
Yeah. But another thing with her loving the water is we went to this other place where my brother and I were fishing, and we just kind of let her run free because there was nobody around. And there was a bunch of geese. So Rosie started stalking them slowly, and then she finally started going after them. And the geese are like, okay, we'll just go in the water. You know, this dog's not going to follow us. She did. she started following them, and I think I have a video still of it, of her just swimming after them and being like, huh, I'm going to get you. Huh, huh, I'm going to get you. And they just keep, like, inching away from her further and further, and she's like, and then she realizes, oh crap, I'm actually tired, and she like turns around and comes back to the shoreline and just stares at them like, you got away from me.
I think she's still very mad because she has been trying to hunt anything that moves, slithers, flies, you name it. She wants to hunt so bad, and she hasn't been able to catch anything yet. And
yeah,
she is a hunting dog through and through.
Yeah, that's the other funny story I think I have. I don't think there's anything else that's super funny.
No.
I mean, we could talk about sleeping in the truck, but I mean, that was a good time.
I think for us, basically, this is very uncharacteristic for me, is I'm a planner. I usually have everything planned out with a very, like, strong schedule.
Checklist.
I love being super organized. This lifestyle, even from our renovations to now, that has kind of all flown out the window. Like I was talking about, the pod was just, everything was thrown into the pod. We lived in our camper for a year while trying to do renovations. There was no organization. There was no order to the chaos.
Oh, she kept trying to make order of everything. And it's like, all right, well, you just moved everything into this neat, nifty little location. Now we have to tear it all apart and try to find the tools.
Yeah, and that's even now showing in our activities or how we're planning our campgrounds or our day activities. I'm not really planning anything. We kind of wake up and we're like, okay, where are we at today? What are we going to do? And we just Google something and we're like, that sounds fun. Let's go do that. And there's been very little planning. Even with us choosing our campgrounds, like I said, we're just kind of throwing a dart at a map. We have no idea what we're doing from day to day. And it's been fun. I've been really enjoying the spontaneity of all this, and I don't know I mean, we kind of have a couple ideas of the next places we're going to go, but we don't know what we're going to do.
Our next goal is Kansas again, so we can visit and kind of recover a little bit, and then after that, it's up in the air again.
Yeah, so we kind of are doing a Midwest tour now, and I think for the winter months coming up, we will probably be doing a summer, a South tour.
Yeah.
So we're just making it up as we go, and we're loving it. So it's a very interesting journey and lifestyle, and it's had a lot of struggles and hardships, but overall, right now, we're enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Yeah. I have honestly no complaints about it. I didn't think it would be as fun as it actually turned out to be whenever we first started. So I'm actually really happy that it's turning into what it is turning into.
Yeah, and I'm quickly learning to just not be so stringent and planning and just like, we must do this and this and this all the time. It's just like, going with the flow. We're in vacation mode.
Yeah. But all right. I hope that you all enjoyed this little story here from us. Definitely a big catch up for me because I haven't done a vlog in over a year, if not longer. So yeah, that's it for this. Don't forget that you matter, and we will all talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, people.